Welcome back to the Sunday Brunch with Ben and Ned. This is part 2
I was just meditating.
of our show. You were just meditating.
Or meditating.
Meditating. I like that.
Thank you.
And it's very appropriate because here in this segment we're going to be talking about religion and spirituality and personal belief systems regarding religion and spirituality. Because that's kind of an inner and an outer thing.
Yeah.
What people profess to believe is not always what they really believe inwardly, or what they demonstrate in their lives.
I try not to. I mean, God, if I let people out there know my actual inner thoughts, that's a whole nother subject, I suppose.
And we'll have to do that next show. It's a great topic.
Inside Ned's head. So you proposed this to me as the idea of using spirituality to get high.
I did. That was what I wanted to talk about today on the subject of spirituality. I, for one, personally didn't grow up with a strong belief system. I didn't grow up necessarily indoctrinated into any religion or another.
Nor I.
So I can't really relate to that strongly. But when I did discover the practice of meditation and a spiritual philosophy that appealed to me, it happened to be more along the lines of Buddhist, Hindu kind of a worldview.
Me too.
Amazing. There's such diversity on this show.
Both were in plaid.
When I did get involved myself in that, the way that showed up for me really strongly in the beginning was I did a lot of yoga, a lot of meditating, breathing exercises. I fasted, would spend a lot of time out in nature. All of these things, which are good, healthy things to do. But my underlying motivation at that time and at that stage was to feel good.
Yeah.
I wanted to be happy. I wanted to feel peace and love and joy and well-being all the time. And it didn't work out quite that way.
And when you didn't, then you were doing it wrong.
Exactly. And when I did feel those doubts or bouts of depression or frustration that we all feel from time to time, I felt that I was doing something wrong, that I had, that I was failing in my practices.
Yeah. You'd gotten off your spiritual path
Yeah.
and needed to get back onto the spiritual path. Now I think we could possibly say that's all part of the spiritual path, is the experiences of separation, the experiences of pain and suffering and doubt. Incorporate all, maybe we can incorporate that all into our spiritual practice.
Indeed. I found it easy as a child to question the beliefs of my culture and the religions that I was exposed to at a young age. What I found difficult to question were my own interior motivations and some of the more visceral beliefs that we are not always conscious of. That was the difficult stuff to get at and question. So I eventually did uncover this kind of underlying desire to escape the sadness, once and for all, to get out of darkness and loneliness and anger and depression and these feelings that we typically call negative, when really they're just, that's a half of life. That's a 50% of the human equation is negative. It's not all positive. It's an ebb and flow, and it's more of a sine wave.
A lot of people come to New Thought, and I certainly was attracted to New Thought, partially because of the meditation practices and the Eastern influence, but also if you focus on the positive, you're going to get more positive. If you're having an ailment of some kind, you focus on health and healing, and that's going to at least help bring about a healing experience. And there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people have been drawn to the New Thought, and by New Thought I mean that kind of family of religions, like Unity, like Christian Science,
Center for Spiritual
religious science, where a lot of it is on the power of thinking. That which you focus on grows in your life. Again, nothing wrong with that. Is that the ultimate purpose of a spiritual practice?
That's the big question. Once I saw that underlying desire and drive on my part and made the effort to lay it aside, then what does spirituality look like? If it's not about me being happy all the time or feeling good all the time, what's left after that?
What'd you come up with?
What I came up with was that it's about cultivating presence in the moment, cultivating one's awareness and your ability to stay balanced in the midst of life's ups and downs, and kind of finding equanimity in the midst of the surges and the storms of life.
Yeah.
And being present not only to what I'm experiencing, but being present to the people around me. And what are they going through? And how am I showing up for them? Am I making a difference, a positive difference in other people's lives? Am I making the world a better place for the people that I come in contact with every day?
What is your role to play in this experience?
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. What is the purpose of prayer? Why do we pray? Ben and I have both had, over the years, a lot of experience praying with others in various ministries and forms. And often, the experience, someone asks for prayer, and we kind of facilitate. We lead them through a prayer, and then the response is, "Oh, that feels good," or, "Oh, I'm so much more relaxed now," or "happy now," or whatever something we would deem as a positive experience, a positive emotion. And that's good. It's not bad. That's not a bad thing. And is that the only purpose? Is there more to it? To me, and the answer is no. There is more to it. Ultimately, the goal for prayer is a shift in consciousness, is an expanding of consciousness and awareness, like you were saying, of our true spiritual nature, whatever that is. I'll use a bad metaphor, or a metaphor that I have issues with, for a closer walk with God. And the reason I have issues with that is the idea of separateness. If I'm walking with God, but that whatever that looks like, whatever that comes out about, is an awareness of oneness. So it's actually no longer a walk with God; it's a walk. It's simply God.
I think one of the fundamental questions is just that, identity. How do I identify? And ultimately, if I identify with my personality and the sense of self that comes from, my story and my collection of memories and all of that, as long as that's my identity and that's who and what I think I am, then I'm very much a leaf in the wind, blowing about this way and that. If I can relax and let go of that restricted sense of self, then identity expands and I become awareness. And your identity then becomes much more fluid and free. You identify more as the totality of this moment and the ebb and flow of energy and movement and sound and people and things that are happening. You feel your oneness with the whole of it. And it's from that perspective that I'm really present and really tuned in and able to give what I have to give.
And that was beautiful. That's why I love doing this show with Ben. That's just beautiful. And like you were saying, how to show up in the world. So if this is all God having an experience, and who knows what your particular belief system is. Ben and I have similar thoughts about this, that this is God in action.
Yeah.
We can't get, God came to play here and now. Well, what is my particular, individual expression of that to be? How to make the most of it, to let God be God in the best possible way as my story. To facilitate that, to make that happen, I use prayer and meditation, to let go of the story of the identity, like you said, of the lack beliefs, the separate beliefs, the sin, to know that this is God in action. This is God in action. I like that.
And it looks good.
Who's God with two thumbs and enjoy this God? I don't know. You know what I mean? You know.
I do indeed. And it's, we often talk about God as the creator, but what that means to me is not the way a human being made this bottle with hands and with techniques. God creates in the way we create a thought or an idea or a dream, the way it emerges in consciousness. God is a creator in that sense, and that there's some inconceivable, infinite field of potential in which all things come to be. And that is maybe the closest definition
That we can wrap our brains around.
that I can say with this tongue.
And God is creating right now. It's happening. This is God in creation, in expression. It's an ongoing thing. So the idea of using prayer or using your spiritual practice as kind of a high, we don't necessarily want to discourage that.
No, it's not a bad thing.
Nothing wrong with
Everyone wants to feel good if given the choice. No one that I know would choose to feel bad if they had a say in the matter. But it's just recognizing that can't be the sole intention or the bottom line motivator. That, I don't want to quote this wrong, so I won't say who it was. But there's a Buddhist teacher who has one of my favorite sayings of all time, which is along these lines. You want to know why you're unhappy? It's because everything that you do is for yourself, and there isn't one.
That's cool. That's very cool.
So it's okay to want to feel good. Everyone wants to feel good, but if doing that to feel good, if praying and meditating for yourself makes you lose sight of the bigger picture, then it's falling short.
I'm gonna pull out a quote from a guru I do happen to know the name of, Jesus.
I've heard of that guy.
Matthew 6:33. That's my go-to quote. Strive first for the kingdom, or seek ye first the kingdom and its righteousness, and then all the rest will be given unto you. That's a paraphrasing. And to me, that means, well, instead of focusing on the goodies, the prosperity or the healing or this or that or the needs, again, nothing wrong with those, let's strive first for the oneness. Strive first for that connection, that expansion of awareness. And then from there, from that place of faith, from that place of awareness, all else will be experienced as it's meant to, as it's best to do so.
I'll drink to that.
All right. Cheers.
So Ned, do you want to do a closing thought here? Something that we've learned from our time together today?
Yeah, and you have to go back to part one. Please do click on the link or find part one of today's show. We did two parts. So we in this part, I think we probably antagonized a number of religious people. In the first part, we antagonized a number of people of
Patriotic
people in politics. But
And if we didn't antagonize you today, keep watching. We will find your button and push it.
That's right. So what I learned in the first part was that buildings cannot self-implode. Yeah, something along those lines.
Not without some help.
Yeah.
That's a good lesson. That's a good lesson. What I learned today was that we have an awful lot in common. It's amazing. Our beliefs and thoughts and the history of the development of those thoughts. It was a really good idea for us to make a show together.
I agree. It's really, in reality, I just copy you. I just envy you and admire you so much. I'm taking on.
Well, You know, that's strange because I was going to say the same thing. I'm copying you.
Wow!
Who's the original here?
There's only one. Mind-blowing stuff.
And he shall remain nameless.
Yes, she...
And genderless.
You've been watching the Sunday Brunch with Ben and Ned. Again, please find us on Facebook, like us, share us.
Great show, Ned.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you out there for watching. Until next time, peace.
Peace.